This woman only went to the police station to clean, yet she spotted a mistake in the investigation. At a glance, she threw away her lollipop, her mind racing as she instantly realized the police had mistaken the victim for the killer. If there's a mistake, it must be corrected. She crossed out the suspect label and wrote "victim" underneath. She thought it was a simple gesture, but the next day, David, who led the case, was furious. After questioning everyone with no result, he checked the surveillance footage from the night before. Lucy's dancing steps were all recorded. The female supervisor warned her that interfering with criminal cases could lead to jail time. Lucy looked innocent, saying she was only correcting a mistake. David was angry. He had been a police officer for decades and didn't need a cleaner telling him how to run a case. The supervisor ignored him and instead took out the files, asking Lucy to explain. Lucy said every piece of furniture in the house was arranged neatly, and the entire house and hall were spotless. This suggested the homeowner was very tidy, but strangely, the curtains nearby were all tied neatly with ropes, except the one on the far right, which was missing a rope. Lucy deduced the killer must have used it elsewhere. There were traces of bindings on the chair. Someone had clearly used tape there and later torn it off, leaving marks. This meant someone had been tied to the chair, but the victim's arms had no binding marks. From these details, there was clearly a third person at the scene, and the homeowner was also a victim. Her reasoning was flawless. Even the experienced David couldn't refute it. He said they needed to check nearby surveillance to truly confirm the third person. But before he finished speaking, a subordinate brought new information. Cameras showed a woman entering the victim's house. The third person had appeared. However, Lucy had still broken the rules, so David ordered her detained. Even so, he had to admit her reasoning was correct. They had to overturn the case and start again to find the other victim quickly. Soon, they discovered in nearby surveillance that an Asian girl had visited the scene that day. Although she repeatedly denied it, she had no alibi. Just as David's team was about to name her the prime suspect, Lucy, about to sign a confidentiality agreement, glanced at the footage and realized it wasn't from the day of the crime. David grew irritated seeing her again. They had finally made progress, but the supervisor wanted Lucy to explain. Lucy said the wind in the video came from the southeast, but in that season the city should have northwestern winds, so the footage must have been from months earlier. Determining the wind direction was simple. There was a church behind the girl. Historically, churches were built facing east, so sunlight would appear behind the priests. By observing the leaves in the footage, the wind direction could be determined. As for what wind blew on the day of the crime, everyone should know that. The officers looked at each other, unsure if they were being mocked. Lucy didn't care. She turned to leave immediately. However, the female supervisor suddenly called her back.